We are pilgrims on a voyage. The road ahead is littered with challenges, but opportunity awaits. Are we prepared to risk it all? In this episode, we explore the final insights of a journey that is only beginning. Find out what it means to be a digital pilgrim. Digital Pilgrims is a voyage on an immaterial sea, a collective search for meaning. Listen to the episode and join the conversation. Episode 24, The Pilgrim Strategy.
In overcoming the limits of space-time, our ideas and social conventions will have the ability to achieve a model of representation that was impossible to obtain until now. For example, one of its possible manifestations could be linked to strengthening political systems. Digital technology could even challenge indirect systems of representation by introducing tools through which each individual can express themselves directly. At the same time, we cannot deny that these possibilities will give rise to tensions at the individual and social levels. For example, the potential of these systems to create collective agreements in predetermined directions, or the ability to develop models of manipulation based on social engineering and large databases. It is possible that collective consciousness will prepare us to solve the practical stumbling blocks related to this type of existence, understand the keys to quantum mechanics, grow in our understanding of the new habitat, and create solutions to the problems that arise. It could even help us to think about answers or new ways to address age-old philosophical questions. Perhaps we will find unknown strengths there. However, this is not the solution to all our problems. Digital technology makes things more complex and changes the framework through which we ask ourselves fundamental questions about human existence. But it does not contain answers within itself. There are no final solutions in our human development, but there is a drastic update of debates. In a reality in which the strength of the collective is protected and sustained by the individual power of each of its members, the responsibility taken on by each person will be vital. Often in the natural environment, people are limited by the historical and socio-cultural context that surrounds us, the space-time limitation. The digital environment, on the other hand, is a huge resonance chamber where that limit is dissolved. Each person has the ability to build community, have constructive experiences, develop their capacities, and promote the human factor if they decide to do so. In addition, the digital matrix in the quantum age provides the omnipresent and asynchronous framework for new cultural models. So far, as a society, we have only scratched the surface of the impact and meaning of omnipresence and asynchronicity for our models of habitability, social contracts, community formation, and identity construction. In other words, we are just starting to experience omnipresence and asynchronicity in their capacity as tools. A new habitat will open the doors to overstimulated social models that will invite us to produce and consume even more. The roles we take on in the face of this change will allow us to create new ceremonies and cultural models related to them. Symbolic ceremonies are devices to protect life both in the natural environment and the digital environment. People need them to assign meaning to their experiences. Although we are beginning to see the recreation of rituals and ceremonies in the digital environment, we still have not reached a level of mature development. There is still much to do in this regard. We can begin by recognizing the digital environment in all its potential and beginning to imagine everything we can be and do there. It is also likely that ceremonies will become omnipresent and asynchronous. The Internet as a permanent system gives rise to a matrix in which rituals and ceremonies exist beyond us and are carried out by the collective. It is the individual's experience that materializes each ritual. Just like in the case of quantum qubits, where the observers determine and pin down that ambiguous reality that exists in different conditions at the same time. Digital technologies manage to materialize in this new stage, a new step on the ladder of humans' relationships with what extends beyond us. No one is doubting the fact that digital reality continues to exist regardless of whether people connect to it. Social networks do not turn off or stop existing, setting agendas or forming opinions if someone decides not to use them. The digital environment exists and is part of our lives today. It is possible that the future will make us confident that the system of ceremonies in the new habitat will hold up in a community that challenges time and space. If we manage to establish them, our actions and participation there will blend into a new model, thanks to the dynamic and permanent form of the environment. The rituals and ceremonies that give meaning to human existence will be collective, continual, and therefore also very personal. There is a famous statement that technology is neither good nor bad, but it is also not neutral. The new quantum reality has space for humanity as long as there is a place for the human factor and a commitment to coexisting respectfully with natural and digital intelligences and the result of the fusion of the two. We can also address these changes more intimately if we consider the current possibility of an integration of technology into our bodies, of the extension of life by digital means, the broadening of the haptic field. We move into a terrain that questions what we understand as human. Defining the essence of humanity is a problem that has been with us since long before the emergence of digital technologies. But now, it is aimed at our bodies, at the mirror, at our actions for survival. The question is renewed on the eve of the digital singularity. The death of the biological body may not even be the frontier we use to define ourselves. Consciousness split apart from the biological body, digital intelligences that maintain aspects of our identity, cerebral implants, bodies that are operated on, digital technology fused with our minds. The array of possibilities is incredibly broad, and there are topics we are just beginning to explore. A spectrum of unimaginable identities is opening before us. The leap forward that awaits us is dizzying because it questions the very essence of our species, and we do not have hundreds of years to adapt. Are we entering a progressive process that will take away our human qualities? Will it add more? Will it bring about a new ontological definition of humanity? That is certainly the fear, but would that be so bad? The collective answer, ironically, does not require time, but rather that each individual do their part and become involved in the process, because they will definitely be part of this change. The advantage of the new habitat is that it will allow us to find belonging in an array of infinite possibilities. Our generation will experience the crux of an existential singularity that arises from the disruption of the natural relationship we had with space and time, thanks to the emergence of this new digital dimension. This leads to a change in the paradigm of habitability that requires rules, models, and systems that will have to evolve and mature through practice, but are based on resources we have had for centuries. The toolkit is culturally loaded into each of us and into society as a whole. With regards to digital technology, we have been explorers and colonists. We discovered a new world, and we are bearing witness to how digital technology is transforming our lives to such a degree that it is changing them into something else. A new world awaits us on the coast. The change continues and deepens. We cannot yet rest on certainties. We are pilgrims in movement, looking for new models of knowledge and interpretation. Pilgrims searching for meaning and a sense of transcendence, of an approach to the path of life. Pilgrims in non-time, in an omnipresent and asynchronous dimension that challenges us at every step and makes us question everything, even what it means to be human. We now have the elements to face this question with social and personal actions. History teaches us that knowledge and evolutionary strategies must be constantly updated. The 15th century explorers arriving at the shores of the New World had instruments like the astrolabe that gave them a sense of orientation. It did not give them absolute certainty as to their destination. They did not have precise maps, but they had a path, a direction. At the same time, the native people of the Americas to which those explorers arrived had their belief systems, their complex culture available to them to codify each new event. We have our cultural history, a matrix that reminds us that moving through crisis and uncertainty is something we have done time and again. We are on an existential voyage that comes before a transformative encounter. But our voyage cannot be naive. We run the risk of getting lost, of repeating our mistakes instead of using them to learn. Unless we recover those deep assets that bring out the best in us, it is unlikely we will be able to overcome what is on the horizon. We will only be able to appropriate the new habitat and coexist with digital entities if we do so in community and with a willingness to compromise. It is time to leave behind our hierarchical strategy and strengthen strategies of mutual action, of understanding that a willingness to compromise may be our evolutionary advantage. It is a transcendent moment when instead of waiting for things to happen, we can take responsibility, rethink our humanity, and choose how we want to evolve. We can return to those discussions around the fire in our forums and networks. We can make our own voyage. The challenges that await us are too big to depend on just a few of us. We are pilgrims, each of us and all of us at the same time. We have started down a path that demands collective behaviors, but with the active participation of each person. We have experiences to share, and we can find the tools seared into our cultural history. But for the first time, we can be the architects of our own existence without pausing in our stride. We must only accept that we are searchers, remember what other voyagers handed down to us, and use our imagination to create a different reality, to find in our uncertainty the underlying clue to our humanity. We are travelers in search of meaning. A new world is opening before us.
This is where we leave you. As our journey comes to an end, we hope that you are left with more questions than answers. You too have become a pilgrim. We'll build our future together. Join the conversation, and let's keep talking. Digital Pilgrims is a podcast based upon the book Digital Pilgrims Towards a Quantum Humanity, sponsored by Codiful, a unique service management platform for remote teams.